Sometimes you need to generate some notation with, for example, something above or something under in the notation. For example, you want to generate x bar or x tilde or x hat or something like this. In these cases, you can use some special commands in LaTeX. Let me start with the simplest notation. For example, suppose that you want to generate x bar. To this end, you can use something like this. Let me put first my formula between these two characters, and then let me try to generate x bar. To this end, you have to put just bar and x. And if you implement the code, you can find out something like this. X bar will appear here. But the problem is that, for example, you want to generate, for example, x, y, z, t. And if you implement the code, you will get something like this, and this is not good because this bar is not over all variables or all characters. So if I want to put a bar over all x, y, z, and t, to this end you can use backslash over line, and if you implement this code, you will have something like this, and this bar is exactly over all the characters. Okay, now when we have overline, we expect that we have something like underline, and also we have these underline, x, y, z, t. And if you run the code, you will get something like this. Overline and underline. This is about the line. Now, let me show you how you can put a tilde over a character. You can use the command tilde, and then you put, for example, x. And if you run the code, you will get something like this. Exactly the same problem will appear for the tilde. I mean, if you put backslash tilde here, A, B, C, D, and run the code, the tilde notation just put over one of this one. Okay, here, look, this is not good. I want to the tilde character appear over all characters. To this end, you can use wide tilde. Wide tilde. In this case, the tilde will put over all the characters. And this is about the tilde. Now, let me continue with hat. We expect that hat, for example, x, generate a hat over x, and it will do it. Something like this. Okay? Let me a little larger. Something like this. Okay? And the problem, hat x, y, z, t persist. In this case also about the hat. This is not good. We want a wide hat here. So I put a wide hat, and in this case the hat will appear over all characters. This is good. Okay? Now, let me continue with something else. For example, you want to generate a vector. For example, vector v. In this case, we can use vec and then v. And if I generate the code, you can find out that a vector v is generated like this. But we have the same problem. For example, you have a vec, something like this, and you put AB. In this case, something like this. Okay? Do you think we have a wide vec? Is it true or false? Let me run. You encounter with an error. It means that we don't have any wide vec. So what can we do in these cases? This is a very simple and useful solution. In this case, you can put something like this. Backslash over right arrow AB. And if I run the code in these cases, look at the output. This is the vector notation over A and B. When we have over right, we expect that we have backslash over left arrow. For example, A, B. And this is also true. And we have exactly a command like this, over left arrow. An arrow over A and B that point to the left. The previous one, an arrow over AB point to the right. Okay? Also, we have, when we have over right arrow, we expect that we have under right arrow. For example, AB, or for example, X, Y, Z. Look at the output. This is okay. An arrow appear under X, Y, Z, point to right, and also backslash under left arrow X, Y, Z. And if you run, you can find something like this. Okay, this is about the arrow. Now, let me continue with the character prime and double prime for the derivative from the first order and second order and so on. In these cases, for example, for f prime, you can use something exactly like this without any special command. Okay? Also, you can use something like this, f backslash prime of x. Look, this is something like this. Why? Because prime should appear in the power, as a power of f. So if I put something like this, okay, and then we can run the code. In this case, prime will appear here, and almost there is no difference between this one and this one. So I would prefer to use f prime instead of hat backslash prime. So I suggest you forget about it. Okay, now for double prime, you can use double prime. And if you have a look at the output, this will appear something like this. And also for triple prime, we have something like this. Okay, and for the derivative of the higher order, you can use, as in the calculus, you can use something like this. Okay, and this is the derivative of order n for the function f. This is about the prime. And the last comments for this lecture, suppose that I want to put a dot on a variable like u. Okay, so in this case you can put dot, use backslash dot, and then you can put u. And if you run the code, you will see something like this. Now, if you want to put two dots, you know that in the partial differential equation, we have something like this, u dot or u double dot and something like this. Okay, for two dot, you can put d dot, okay, and then u, for example. In this case, a double dot will appear on the u. You can use two other different dd dot u, for example, and also ddd dot for 3 or 4 dots appear on the u. And we have no more. I mean that if, for example, you put 4d backslash 4d and then dot, and you compile the code, you will encounter with an error. So let me forget about the last d and rerun the code, and we have finally an output like this one. Okay, now you learn about the bar, tilde, hat, vector, prime, double prime, triple prime, and so on, dot, double dot, and so on. Okay, so let me continue this subject in the next lecture. So please follow me and subscribe the channel and wait for the next lectures. Thank you.